Bryan Freedman, Justin Baldoni's attorney, has just shot back at Blake Lively's motion to dismiss. Blake is abusing the legal system. 3 exclamation points. Bryan Freedman tells TMZ Ms. Lively's recent motion to dismiss herself from the self-concocted disaster.
Are you going to sue Blake Lively too?
Into oblivion, Megan. Wait till you see this lawsuit. It's all going to be based on evidence. It's not going to be just a lawsuit. It's going to be the kind of lawsuit that is full of evidence, admissions, documents, which prove exactly what she did.
So Hollywood isn't just about red carpets, flashing lights, and tender lattes. Turns out, it's also packed with lawsuits, secret settlements, and a whole lot of power plays. Enter Bryan Freedman, the go-to attorney for high-profile cases, who's now caught in a legal showdown that somehow involves Blake Lively. Because let's be real, when Hollywood A-listers fight legal battles, they make sure it's just as dramatic as their movies.
Actually, Blake Lively's publicist, Leslie Sloan, was planting stories negative to Justin. And all Justin wanted to do, and it's all through the text messages. If the New York Times apparently reviewed 1,000 or more pages of text messages, they would have seen it. Justin never wanted to hurt her, never wanted to be negative to her. He wanted to protect the film, he wanted to protect himself, and he wanted to protect her from making negative allegations about him that were made up and that they're proven, and how she bullied her way through the process to take over the movie and used her PR people to try and destroy Justin. There's a number of different defendants here. Stephanie Jones will be all over this complaint. That is the PR agent who was supposed to be working for Justin Baldoni. Leslie Sloan, who's another PR agent who will be part of this lawsuit. That was Blake Lively's. Blake Lively will be sued, and we're carefully considering other people that will be sued also. Ryan Reynolds, for sure.
One might assume lawsuits are resolved through calm discussions, fair deals, and a polite handshake. But this is Hollywood, where even the smallest dispute turns into a high-stakes showdown. And Blake Lively, she's not just sitting back and letting the legal system take its course. Oh no, she's taking action. According to Freedman, she's pulling every string to push for a settlement, whether that means pressure, persuasion, or a little classic celebrity influence. Let's just say, this case is shaping up to be a headline-worthy drama.
What they did was they worked with the New York Times. Her publicist worked directly with the New York Times. They shared illegally obtained text messages. They shared those together. They concocted a complaint that they filed with the Civil Rights Division. They omitted texts that would have provided context, texts that were in the exact same string that would have provided context of what was really going on. And in fact, they actually removed emojis from texts that show that there was satire and there was joking around by the PR crisis agents. I mean, the PR crisis agent.
Freedman is no stranger to high-stakes legal wars. He's battled it out with some of the biggest names in the industry. So, if he's claiming that Blake Lively is making things tough for the other side, you can bet there's more going on behind the scenes. After all, in Hollywood, people don't just request things, they make them happen. And if a settlement is in play, you can be sure Lively isn't just sitting around waiting for the paperwork to go through.
She initiated is one of the most abhorrent examples of abusing our legal system. Freedman says stringent rules are put into place to protect the innocent and allow individuals to rightfully defend themselves, while noting laws are not meant to be twisted and curated by privileged elites to fit their own personal agenda. In his statement to TMZ, Freedman reiterated, as we said yesterday in response to Mr. Reynolds' same cowardly measures, we will continue to hold Ms. Lively accountable for her actions of pure malice, which include falsely accusing my clients of harassment and retaliation. Freedman summed it up by saying Blake's fantastical claims will be swiftly debunked as discovery moves forward, easily disproved with actual evidentiary proof.
So, what exactly is she up to? Well, if the rumors are true, she's pulling every string to make sure this case wraps up quickly. And no, that doesn't mean she's tossing around legal terms in a courtroom. Let's be real, Hollywood stars have people for that. Instead, she's allegedly using her influence in ways that only someone at her level of power can.
Okay, so this is an excerpt from my new favorite book, which is the website that Justin Baldoni published, all about his correspondence with Blake Lively. And this is one of my favorite excerpts with my new favorite Game of Thrones character, Blake Lively. Are you ready for it? And him serving it back to her is just as important. You don't usually see both the man and the woman with such agency and humor. Anyway, I can act it out for you next week to make sure it comes through. Or I can send it now. Let me know what you prefer. XX. To which Justin Baldoni responded, "Sorry, I was just crying my eyes out as kids and family just left for another 5 weeks and it was a shit show. Heart emoji, heart emoji, heart emoji."
Think about it. When an A-lister wants something, they don't just ask. They rally their team, call in favors, and if needed, let the media do some of the heavy lifting. And if there's one thing Hollywood hates more than a dragged-out lawsuit, it's bad press. So if Blake Lively is pushing for a settlement, it's not hard to imagine certain narratives are already being shaped behind the scenes. Now, let's talk about Bryan Freedman's role in all of this. He's no stranger to high-profile disputes, and he's definitely not the type to back down. But even a legal heavyweight like him knows that when a Hollywood star starts pulling strings, things can get complicated, fast. Winning in court is one thing, but going up against an industry built on controlling public perception, that's a whole different battle.
Baldoni's the bad guy, and just to lay it out for the audience in a little bit more detail, what she's claiming is that even though she was a much bigger star than Justin Baldoni, who I never heard of before this lawsuit, she's the much bigger star, and she's married to an even bigger star than she is, Ryan Reynolds, that she came in and onto this project and started to get harassed and mistreated by Justin and some others, and that when she then demanded that all of her concerns be rectified, that he did it, but that he was basically lying in wait for when the film would get released in case she went public with what happened, that he and his PR team determined to bury her, to ruin her, and that this wave of bad press we did see about Blake Lively when the film came out this past summer was not organic. It was totally orchestrated by Justin and his team.
Because, let's be real, public perception is everything in Hollywood. If Lively wants a settlement, it's not just about legal arguments, it's about making sure the right story gets told. Whether that means leveraging the media, dropping well-timed statements, or simply knowing the right people to nudge things along, it's all part of the game. And here's the kicker. Settlements aren't always about guilt or innocence. Sometimes they're just about making problems disappear.
Blake Lively writes, "I can send you my pass at the roof, or just read with you when we get together next week. Let me know what you prefer, smiley face. If you knew me in person longer, you'd have a sense of just how flirty and yummy the ball busting would play. It's my love language, spicy and playfully bold, never with teeth."
In Hollywood, where reputations are worth millions, the faster a scandal or lawsuit gets resolved, the better. If dragging things out means risking headlines no one wants, then suddenly a settlement becomes the smartest move. And if Lively is making sure that's exactly where this case is headed, one thing's clear. She's not taking no for an answer.
I'd like to apologize to Justin Baldoni because he treated me well and did nothing wrong, and I allowed him to sit in the basement with his family because I was starstruck by Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, that Blake Lively was the aggressor in this now epic showdown. Was it right after was it when Baldoni dropped the countersuit? Was it when Bryan Freedman put up the website with the 170 pages and all the text? Or was it right away when the Times wrote?
Right away. I've always had an intuition about her, and I've always had an intuition about Taylor Swift and like the branding of the nice girl stuff. and something just didn't. I went through Justin Baldoni's Instagram, and he just seemed like a puppy. And I read it just didn't add up to me that this guy was secretly just dying to talk about pornography all the time and talk about his porn addiction and wanted her to look at pornography. I'm going, this is not the Instagram feed I'm looking through. And I went back years.
Now, you might be wondering, why does Lively care so much? What's in it for her? The answer is simple: control. Hollywood stars thrive on controlling the narrative, and drawn-out legal battles do the exact opposite. The longer a case drags on, the more details leak and the more unpredictable things become. And if there's one thing celebrities can't stand, it's losing control. Freedman, on the other hand, is likely weighing his options carefully. He knows how these battles work, when to push back, and when to let things unfold. But if Lively is determined to speed this up, he's not just dealing with legal arguments. He's up against a Hollywood power play.
They actually did it is far less fruitful, right? The text about like, we could, here's what we might do if we need to, those are everywhere. The text proving they did, far less ubiquitous in this complaint. And what you've said now in your lawsuit against the Times is, don't even believe the texts that you see in the Lively lawsuit, because they're seriously misrepresented, omitting major facts that would give them an entirely different meaning, never mind greater context. And that's where I want to bring you.
And let's not forget the other side of this case. They may not have Blake Lively's star power, but they definitely have something at stake. If they're resisting a settlement, it's probably because they believe their case is strong enough to go the distance, or maybe, just maybe, they're holding out for a bigger payday. Because in Hollywood, lawsuits aren't just about justice, they're about leverage.
It was monstrous what she did, and she's got to pay for it.
Live birth porn.
I think Ryan Reynolds has a few secrets in the closet too that they don't want people to be taking a look at, and it's going to destroy these people. That's why they wanted this attorney's eyes only privilege. And basically, we can say anything; the public can't see it, just the attorneys. It was kind of a radical thing to want, and they were arguing that careers could be ruined. Well, what could be ruined? You might be a little embarrassed, but to ruin a career, there has to be some level of fraud in terms of how you're presenting yourself to the public and who you are in private. And so that kind of a desperate sort of a pleading, which was to do something that was abnormal and file for this attorney eyes only, which they didn't give them. He kind of half-weighted and said according to medical records, which is self-explanatory. But that lets me know that they're scared, and they're not going to admit that until they lose the dismissals. And then I think they're going to want to settle.
So where does that leave things? For now, it's a waiting game. But if Freedman is making it clear that Lively is pushing hard for a resolution, one thing is certain: this legal drama won't be dragging on much longer. One way or another, someone is going to fold. And if Lively has anything to say about it, it won't be her. Because in Hollywood, it's never just about who's right or wrong. It's about who has the power to control the outcome. And if Lively is pushing for a settlement, it's not because she's hoping for the best. It's because she knows exactly how to make things go her way.